Hi guys, it's me Jessica again. Welcome back to the Fast English program. Today we're going to learn about uncountable nouns. So we learned before that countable nouns are objects you can count. Uncountable nouns is something we cannot count. So for example, salt, rice, cereal, water, milk, sand, and also something like a feeling, like love. We cannot count love. We cannot count water or sand, etc. So we wouldn't say 1 water, 2 waters, 10 waters. You would just say water. We could say 1 glass of water, but in this case, it's the glass itself that's countable, not the water. Uncountable nouns are always in singular form. So for salt, there is some salt, or there is a little coffee. So there is some salt, there is a little coffee. We can't count exactly how much salt or how much coffee, so we just say some or a little. So with the uncountable nouns, we use some when we talk about a quantity that's not large and not small. So there is some salt. There's not a lot of salt, there's not a little salt, there's just some salt. We use any to make emphasis on zero quantity in negative sentences, like we learned before. But any functions similarly to some in questions. We use a lot to talk about a large quantity of something uncountable. So a lot of rice. We're not going to count, and we can't count, how many grains of rice, but there is a lot of rice. A little we use for a small quantity. So a little coffee, a little rice, etc. So remember, for countable nouns, when we want to know quantity, we ask how many. For uncountable nouns, we ask how much. So for example, how much rice is there? Or how much salt is there? We could answer, there is some, there isn't any, there is a lot, there is a little. There are also some nouns that could be countable or uncountable, depending on the sentence and the context. For the noun glass, glass can be uncountable when we're talking about glass as a material, like on windows. So windows are made of glass, and that's an uncountable noun. But for glass as a thing, like a glass of water, this is actually countable. Nouns that could be both, depending on the context. Glass. Hair also could be countable or uncountable. So hair as uncountable as a group of hairs. So Peter has brown hair. This is not countable. We don't know how many hairs on his head, but we know he has brown hair. This is uncountable. But if we're talking about just one singular hair, this is countable. There is a hair on my shirt, for example. We count the one hair. So, for example, iron. Iron is uncountable when it's a material, like as a metal. But iron is countable when we're talking about the thing iron. So I press my shirt with an iron. This is a countable object. Light can be uncountable, like when we say, I open the window to let in some light. We don't count how much light there is. But for countable, we could use light like a singular light bulb. So please turn off the light. It's countable, it's just the one light you're talking about. Paper can be uncountable. We could talk about paper in general as a large quantity, saying, I need some paper to mail a letter. But when we're talking about a piece of paper, it's countable. So I write on a sheet of paper, just one. Time. Time can be very uncountable. So how much time do you need? But when you ask specific times, it's countable. So how many times a week do you watch television? Work in general is uncountable. So you could say, I have a lot of work to do tonight. This is not a countable thing. But if you want to talk about work as in a piece of artwork, you would say, the painting is a work of art. So that is countable. It's just the painting. It's one work of art. Coffee also can be uncountable, like we saw before. I have some coffee after dinner. Some coffee. It's not a countable amount of coffee. But cups of coffee is countable. You could say, I would like 2 coffees, please. Also, for certain meats, like chicken, fish, for uncountable, it talks about an unspecified quantity. So I had some chicken for dinner. Countable is referring to the shape of an animal. So for example, she paints a picture of the chicken. This is just one chicken. It's a specified amount. So, chicken, fish, etc. All of these words can be used as countable or uncountable. You just have to determine the context. All right, that's all for today. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you next time.